Some of the questions that we're going to be doing in here are wordy versions of stuff that we've already learnt. So on the top of the page, it says fractions and decimals can be used to compare different quantities. Ratios, for an example, are things that are based on fractions and can be used to compare the parts of the total. So let's have a look at some of these wordy questions down here. It says, express the following as both a fraction and a percentage of the total. So it says I have $40 out of a total of $200. To write that as a fraction, you literally just go 40 out of 200. But we always like to simplify, so we grab our calculator and we go 40 on the top, 200 on the bottom, press equals, and that simplifies to be 1/5. Now, if I want that to be a percentage, because remember it said up here I want a fraction and a percentage. Do you remember my little diagram? I have a fraction and a decimal over here, which we can just change between those ones with our SD button. If a percentage becomes involved, I have to times by 100 to make something into a percentage, or divide by 100 to go from a percentage back to a fraction or a decimal. So if I have a fraction, and I'm going to go back to my original one, 40 out of 200 was my fraction. If I want to make that a percentage, all I have to do is follow that arrow and times by 100. So go times 100 and equals, and we can type that into our calculator. Okay, and that equals 20%. When something is a percentage, please make sure that you write the percentage sign on it. Let's try that again. Part B. 24 green ducks out of a total of 30 ducks. First of all, as a fraction, we put 24 on the top and 30 on the bottom. And use the calculator to simplify.
Do you always have to simplify?
Yes. The only time that we don't simplify our fractions is if we were doing the place value questions, because we were doing things like 4/10 to show that we're 4/10. We didn't simplify those ones. But everything else we should simplify. Next, I want to do the percentage. So I take my 24 out of 30 again, and to make a fraction into a percentage, I multiply it by 100. If you already have a number in your calculator, you don't have to retype it. You can just go times, and it says answer. It'll take your last answer, and if I times that by 100, it gives me the 80. It's a bit of a shortcut. So that is 80%. Question 2. A glass of cordial is made up of 1 part syrup to 9 parts water. Express the amount of syrup as a fraction of the total. Now we know that there was 1 part syrup. How many parts are there in total? Jai? 10, correct. So there's 1 part syrup and 9 parts of water. That means 10 parts altogether. 1 out of the 10 was syrup. Okay, so careful with those. A lot of people would be tempted to go 1/9. Okay, it's 1 over the total. Part B. Express the amount of water as a percentage of the total. Now, if 1 part was syrup, remember 9 parts out of the 10 are water. But this time it asks me for a percentage. Back up here to my diagram. Turning a fraction to a percentage, we times by 100. So let's go times 100 and type that in your calculator and you will get 90%. That's right. 90%. Okay, so that gives you 2 final pages to complete.